Hey everybody, so sorry about the delay. I actually ended up recording about like a short video, but I didn't press go live. So I'm going to recap what I did. Earlier in the day, we talked about the drop servicing challenge. We set up the skeleton of a website, which we're calling rankhire.media, and I set up a little bit of an about page. Again, I'm going to fill this out, but I just was getting through and doing the basics, the must-haves of a site. And I talked about in the last video why you need a privacy policy for your website, and that we also add a terms of service. And the reason why we did that is because we wanted to, protect ourselves from when Facebook advertises or when we advertise on Facebook. It helps make us look more reputable, and I've heard of accounts getting banned because they didn't include this boilerplate language. If you're using WordPress, you can generate a really simple terms of service via the settings and then privacy, and then it just generates some boilerplate language. You just have to add it to the bottom. You have to add like your general information, or you can get a privacy generator online. The one that I have was actually from a person who helped make this for me, and I use it for all my businesses. So now let's get to the fun stuff. As you know, this is part of the Drop Servicing Mafia challenge, where Mario and his team talked about making a podcast intro company. And so I just want to dive deeper into that and figure out what's my angle into the market. So I started using Google Trends, Google Keyword Tools, Ahrefs, and now I just want to preface this by saying that if you are basically, the keyword tools are not necessarily always right. You can't always trust them. They're just an indicator in your larger analysis of the process. So, for example, if I'm looking to do a podcast intro service, I might just straight up Google that and see what is there. And when I look at these results, you have to expect that on the organic side, what Google is serving up is actually what you want to show, or what Google believes the people want, right? Because people use Google because it gives them the results that they want. So then the ads, you have to assume, or you can assume, that the people who are serving up ads are making money from displaying that ad and buying that click. So I suspected, when I do Keywords Explorer, and again, you have to just take it with a grain of salt, but when I search podcast intro, and I think I hinted at this in the beginning, is what does this searcher really want? And it seems here that people are interested in podcast intro music, or even free podcast intro music. They're also kind of looking at terms about how to do a podcast. Like, for example, one I spotted earlier was podcast intro script. And so I don't think that I can compete by offering royalty-free podcast music, but I do think that I can compete with this professional podcast editing or pro sound for your podcast, right? Which is really what Mario was going after in that video previously, where he was going through how to start a drop servicing company. So, this, to me, Podcast Press is really interesting, and I like it. I like the imagery. I think that it's really nice. I like that they have customer success here. I think that I would potentially be a competitor with this company. And so monthly essentials with show notes, it could very well be a drop shipping or drop servicing company. I don't know. One reason why I suspect that is they have no about page, and it seems to me a little bit like a test. One thing I'll do, podcastpress.io, I'll just look at this built with, and then looks like a Learn Dash. So it's definitely also on WordPress, which is interesting. They have an affiliate program maybe that they have, or they're planning to include a membership. And then I'll actually also look at what their what they're doing here. Okay, so this site looks like it's been around since around January 2018, and they seem to be growing up until January 2020 pretty steadily. It looks like they lost a bunch of links here. I wonder if Google penalized them for something. But when I look at this, the backlinks, the referring domains, the keywords they're ranking for, like this is maybe right in the neighborhood of where I want to be. So let's go dive a little deeper and with this competitive research and see what else we have here. So Podcast Press, which was what that's them. Let's see, where was the other one here? Podcast intros, professional podcast intro production. So that's also what I'm looking for, and that's the first result here organically. And I'm just getting a sense of what are they pricing. So let's see here. So $85 an intro, $150 per combo. I'm actually going to add another sheet to my admin sheet. Competitor research. So we have Podcast Press, which I didn't look at their pricing, but I noticed they didn't have an about, which is actually something that I think people are starting to catch on to. If you don't have if you're not willing to stand behind what it is that you're doing, then, it might be something that is maybe less appealing, a little more shady. So podcast intro, okay, so small team, laser so focused, professional audio for 25 years. I like that they have customer reviews. Okay, they have themes, music, outros, and voiceovers, and then a pro voice. So that's interesting. I'll throw this in the competitor sheet. And so what I'll do when I'm starting a company usually is I'll just throw a bunch of stuff into this. But I don't want to get too carried away. So I am going to, I'm going to just keep it short and then decide what I'm going to do. So the voice market, okay, interesting that the company before was forwarding to the voice market. So that's, I wonder, what's going on there, if they just had a partner. And, the new fashioned way of doing that is more to drop service, right? To just handle it. Make my intro, Tim Page, custom created podcast intros and outros. Okay, so I'm seeing here that there's a market. This is validating the fact that there's a demand here, right? Because so many people are searching it. People are spending ads money on it. And I think, so I'm just going to go in. I'm going to explain what I do for SEO research and kind of close the loop here, and then we'll move forward. So what I do is I go into Ahrefs and I search for terms like editing service. I look at the overview. Okay, so it's a hard keyword to rank for. That just means that, and it has a pretty low search volume. So it's interesting here. I wonder if people are actually doing something smart by going into the market from the podcast intro outro angle and then selling people from there, right? So I'm just gonna show you this sheet. Here's podcast motor editing services for busy professionals. So I think looks really nice. They have examples of who they edit, marketing school. I mean, this is really nice. So I'll add it. 7-day launch guide. That's also smart, right? All right, so now they're in there, and I'll do some work after this. And then, okay, we have 312 keyword ideas. I'm going to look at a minimum search volume of 50. I have 146 keywords left. And then I actually have this spreadsheet as a big thank you to Matthew Woodard, who is a SEO, and he provides this template that takes all of your keywords and goes ahead and like basically groups them into different topics. And then from there, it takes those topics and finds the areas of biggest opportunity for you. So what I have here is a list of around 8,000 keywords, and we're pumping all of those through this filter and coming up with these groups. And as I said before, I don't want to relegate myself only to podcasts. I also would like to do video because I'm really betting on video. So I didn't pick a name with podcast, heaven or something in the name. And instead, I chose something that is aligned with the desires of every content creator, which is to rank higher, to get more eyeballs, to get more listeners. So anyway, it grouped these things, and then it compared the average difficulty of searching for, or of ranking for the term, and the search volume, and it gives you on the left super high priority, normal priority, and low priority, basically keywords to work with. So in this case, the super high priority has a lower average difficulty and a higher search volume. So podcast software, I am not going to get in the software business, but I think that this does a decent job of identifying opportunities. So for example, if I did decide this was going to be a real business, I might write something about the best podcasting softwares of 2020. All right. So outro. It's interesting that came before intro, and it's just a definition. So from an SEO perspective, there's nothing interesting there, but free music for podcasts. And we saw that actually a lot of the people who were both advertising and searching for this is they want intro music or outro music and royalty free or free. So I'm wondering if this is a good way to get people in and then convert them, right? So this would sort of be my loss leader, where I am offering free music, and then when people get to the free music library, I might convert them on a professionally edited, intro, outro, or a package where they can professionally get their podcast edited as some sort of unlimited services. I can't think of what this is called, but I think it was called No Limit Creatives. So this is a really interesting model. Basically, they have a bunch of designers working, and then they have a bunch of clients, and they do unlimited design work, which actually has a cap, for a monthly fee. So now, interesting that they are doing video design as well as graphics. But I think that this No Limit Creatives model came as a result of people needing a lot of creative for Facebook and for all their ads and everything. So I'm wondering, what if I bundle a lot of these drop services and I create sort of an upsell for people who bought the intro, outro, or just people who come to the site, of some sort of unlimited podcast or video editing service, right? So instead of having a one-time purchase and then trying to monetize the list on the back end with emails and stuff, I would then instead say right off the bat, I'm going to create you an intro or an outro. I'm going to sell you, maybe some voiceovers, or you can join this, $300, $400 a month program. I'm going to give you a free intro, a free outro, and one free, celebrity voiceover of your choice. And I'll do that if you guarantee, sign up for 6 months or something like that, right? Diversifying these services on the backs of these same skills, I have a feeling are going to help me. But again, this drop servicing experiment is literally about making sure, I just want to make sure, so I'm live. Okay, it's about, testing quickly, seeing if it works, and then if it works, leaning in. So let's go ahead and keep building this website with this idea that I am going to do the, and I think I'll start only with podcasts. And then if it goes well, or if I decide to pivot, I will move maybe into YouTube, and I will do both on the same website. So here we go. I have I wonder if I should pause the video and pause the video and actually come back after I've done a little bit more research and thought a little bit more about how I'm going to position this. I literally, I'm sorry that I just got back to this. I think I'm going to do that, right? I'm going to spend probably 20 minutes. I'm going to go through, I'm going to look at the competition and see what I can maybe offer, and then whip something up that's, from a copy perspective. So thank you for your time. I hope you're enjoying this process and that it was helpful to have somebody kind of walk through the thinking behind this and sort of the stacking of services and the sort of short-term and long-term and strategy. So I hope that's helpful, and I will be back online with some copywriting and some actual website completed things when I get back. All right, so talk to you soon. Thanks again.